American tomato growers in their 50s and 60s are losing $60 to $180 worth of fruit every single season, not because of pests, not because of disease, but because of 4 specific fruit problems that almost nobody explains correctly. Cracking, Sunscald, flower drop, and splitting each have a completely different cause and a completely different fix. This video covers all 4 with exact diagnosis and exact prevention. But here is the one that will change how you grow permanently the one problem hiding inside your your watering routine right now, and it is responsible for more lost tomatoes than any pest on your property. Welcome to Plant ER Lab, where smart growers discover plant ideas that actually pay off. Today we are breaking down every major tomato fruit failure cracking, Sunscald, flower drop, and splitting with the exact cause chain and exact fix for each. And past the halfway point, we are going to reveal the one thing inside your current watering routine that is quietly guaranteeing fruit loss before you even see the damage. A note on zones before we begin, because this matters for every country watching. USDA zones are the reference system throughout this video. For Canadian viewers, conditions are nearly identical. Plan accordingly. For UK viewers, RHSH4 equals roughly USDA zone 6, H5 equals zone 7, H6 equals zone 8. For Australian and New Zealand viewers in Victoria, a CT, Canterbury, and Otago, you are working in USDA zone 7 to 9 equivalents. The common advice on tomato fruit problems is not wrong, it is simply incomplete. Most guides name the symptom. They skip the cause chain entirely. And that gap is where growers lose full seasons. If you are done replacing lost harvests with guesswork, this video was built specifically for you. Drop your state in the comments right now, your USDA zone changes, which of these 4 problems hits hardest for your exact situation. Most growers see a cracked tomato and blame the rain. The rain is not the problem. The problem is the violent shift from drought-dry soil to sudden moisture saturation and what that swing does to the fruit wall from the inside. Here is the exact cause chain. When a tomato fruit is in its final ripening stage, the skin has already stopped expanding. The internal flesh, however, is still receiving water signals. When the root zone swings from bone dry to heavily saturated after a week of hot weather followed by 2 inches of rain, which is the exact pattern in USDA zones 5, 6, and 7 across the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast, the interior flesh expands rapidly while the skin cannot stretch to match. The skin splits. Radial cracks run from the stem end outward. Concentric cracks circle the shoulder. The big boy variety in a 14-inch container is particularly vulnerable to concentric cracking because its fruit wall is dense and its skin is relatively inelastic at full ripeness. For Canadian growers in Ontario and British Columbia, and for UK growers in the Midlands and north of England, you face this same wet-dry swing pattern in July and August, which sits in a 12 to 16 degrees Celsius equivalent hardiness window. The fix is not complicated, but most guides stop at mulching and miss the watering rhythm correction entirely. Apply 3 inches of straw mulch around every plant beginning at transplant, not after cracking starts. Then water consistently every 3 to 4 days in dry periods rather than waiting for the soil to fully dry out. That consistency removes the swing. Cracking in Big Boy drops by over 60% when watering rhythm is corrected before fruiting begins. One season of lost fruit from cracking costs the average American grower $60 to $180 in produce value. That is not a minor inconvenience, that is a full season of effort walking out the garden gate. The next problem is completely different in cause, and it starts before the fruit even forms. When your tomato plant drops its flowers before the fruit sets, the plant is not sick and it is not stressed by water. It made a biological decision based on temperature, and it made that decision at night while you were not watching. Here is the exact mechanism. Tomato pollen becomes non-viable when night temperatures fall below 55 degrees Fahrenheit or rise above 75 degrees Fahrenheit. At those thresholds, the flower detaches rather than setting fruit, because the plant's internal reproductive signaling reads the temperature as incompatible with fruit survival. The early girl variety, which is one of the most popular choices for American home growers, precisely because of its early maturity, is still subject to this temperature window without exception. In USDA zones 8, 9, and 10 across the South, Gulf Coast, and inland California, flower drop from summer night heat is the single most common cause of mid-season production collapse. Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana growers frequently see full flower sets shed in July and August, when night temperatures hold above 78 degrees for consecutive weeks. For UK growers in the southeast of England, and for Australian growers in New South Wales and South Australia, the same summer heat window, equivalent to 24 to 26 degrees Celsius, triggers identical flower drop in greenhouse and tunnel-grown tomatoes. In zones 5, 6, and 7 across the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast, the opposite problem appears in early spring night temperatures still dropping below 55 degrees Fahrenheit in May. Cause: the first flower sets to abort before gardeners realize the overnight temperature window has not yet stabilized. The fix in hot zone summer is afternoon shade cloth, reducing ambient temperature by 6 to 10 degrees. This alone recovers flower set in most cases. The fix in cool zone early spring is simply waiting or using season extension fabric at night until your overnight low is consistently above 58 degrees. A full season of flower drop means zero fruit from an established plant. If you invested 12 to 16 weeks growing that plant from seed, the cost of that failure is not $60. It is the entire season. And there is a third problem that most growers have never correctly identified because it looks exactly like a disease. You see a white patch on your tomato. It feels papery. It does not spread. There are no spots, no rings, no mold, and no insects around it. At that point, most growers reach for a fungicide, and that is exactly the wrong move, because what they are looking at is not a disease at all. It is Sunscald. Here is the exact cause chain. When a developing tomato fruit is directly exposed to intense afternoon sunlight, typically between 1 and 5 in the afternoon during July and August, the surface temperature of the fruit can reach 104 to 109 degrees Fahrenheit, even when the air temperature is only 85. At that skin surface temperature, the cell tissue on the sun-facing side is literally cooked. The result is a white, papery, slightly sunken patch. The fruit beneath that patch is still safe to eat. The affected area is cosmetic in mild cases, but in severe Sunscald, the damaged tissue becomes a secondary entry point for bacterial soft rot, and the fruit is lost entirely. The most common cause of Sunscald is not heat alone, it is aggressive pruning. In USDA zones 6, 7, and 8 across the Mid-Atlantic, Pacific Northwest, and Upper Midwest, growers who follow the single-stem pruning method and remove all lateral growth expose their fruit clusters directly to afternoon sun. The early grow variety, which sets fruit prolifically and low on the vine, is particularly exposed to this problem when the canopy above has been thinned too aggressively. For UK growers in the south of England during heat waves, which have become more frequent in recent summers, and for Australian growers in Victoria and South Australia during January and February, the equivalent risk window sits at 30 to 38 degrees Celsius afternoon ambient temperatures. The fix is canopy management, not shade cloth in most cases. Allow 2 to 3 lateral shoots to remain and grow naturally on the mid and upper vine to create a self-shading canopy over developing fruit clusters. If over-pruning has already occurred, a single layer of 30% shade cloth draped over the cage or trellis for the afternoon hours is enough to stop further damage immediately. Sunscald does not require a spray, it requires a structural correction. And the final fruit problem in this video looks completely different from all three, but it causes more variety selection mistakes than any other issue in the home tomato garden. Catfacing and zippering are the two tomato fruit deformities that cause the most unnecessary variety switching because most growers blame their plant choice when the real cause is conditions during a window that was already 3 weeks in the past. Here is the exact cause chain for catfacing. When temperatures drop below 50 degrees Fahrenheit during the flowering stage, which in USDA zones 5 and 6 across the Northeast, New England, Great Lakes, and Upper Midwest means any night in May or early June, the blossom development is disrupted before the flower even fully opens. The blossom end of the developing fruit fuses abnormally, producing the puckered, rough, scarred appearance known as catfacing. The big boy variety is among the most susceptible because it produces large multilocual fruit where blossom end formation is complex. For Canadian growers in Alberta, Manitoba, and Ontario, and for UK growers in Scotland, Northern Ireland, and the north of England, this cool night disruption window sits at 10 degrees Celsius or below, and it is a genuine seasonal reality every spring. Catface fruit is completely safe to eat. The flavor is unaffected. The yield impact is real only when deformity is severe enough to cause rot entry points at the scarred tissue. Zippering is a related but separate problem. It appears as a thin brown scar line running from the stem end to the blossom end of the fruit, sometimes with small holes in the skin at intervals. The cause is anther fusion, where the stamen fuses to the developing ovary wall during cool temperatures and then tears away as the fruit expands, leaving a scar, again completely edible, completely harmless. But it is cosmetically alarming and causes unnecessary plant disposal every season. The honest limitation here is that both catfacing and zippering cannot be fixed mid-season once the affected fruit has set. The real correction is variety selection before next season. Replacing Big Boy with San Marzano or a smaller fruited indeterminate variety dramatically reduces both problems, because smaller fruit with fewer locules has significantly simpler blossom end formation that is less disrupted by cool nights. You can also delay transplant by 2 weeks to allow overnight temperatures to fully stabilize above 55 degrees. That single timing adjustment eliminates most catfacing and zippering before it starts. Now, everything you have just learned converges into one system, and the dollar figure attached to getting that system right is the one number in this video worth stopping for. Here is where we come back to what was promised at the start of this video, the one thing hiding inside your current watering routine that is quietly guaranteeing fruit loss before you even see the damage. Let that sit for a moment, because it changes the entire calculation of how you water. Most growers water when the soil looks dry. That visual cue is already too late. By the time the surface reads dry, the root zone in a raised bed or container has already cycled through the wet-dry pressure swing that triggers cracking in ripening fruit. The correction is not watering more, it is watering on a rhythm that removes the swing entirely. In USDA zones 5, 6, and 7 across the Midwest, Northeast, and Pacific Northwest, and for Canadian growers in Ontario and British Columbia, and UK growers in England and Wales, in a 10 to 18 degrees Celsius hardiness window water every 3 to 4 days consistently during fruiting, regardless of surface appearance. Do not wait for the plant to signal. The plant signals after the damage window is already opened. That single disciplined, consistent rhythm over reactive watering is the one correction that addresses cracking, reduces flower drop stress, and keeps the root zone stable enough to buffer temperature swings during blossom set. Now here is the number that makes this worth stopping for. A single tomato season in an American backyard garden, Big Boy, Early Girl, San Marzano across 3 to 5 plants represents $60 to $240 in direct produce value. In USDA Zone 7 gardens across the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast Virginia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia, that figure is higher because the growing season is longer and the fruit set is larger. When cracking takes 30% of that harvest, flower drop takes another 20% across 2 weeks of summer heat, and Sunscald destroys an additional 10 to 15% of exposed fruit. The math is not subtle. You can lose well over half your tomato harvest to 4 problems that all have structural solutions requiring no chemicals, no special equipment, and no expensive intervention. The complete prevention system has 4 parts. Part 1, 3 inches of straw mulch applied at transplant, not at first problem. Part 2, consistent watering rhythm every 3 to 4 days during fruiting, never reactive, always scheduled. Part 3, maintain a self-shading canopy by allowing 2 to 3 lateral shoots to grow naturally on the midvine, never pruned to full single stem exposure in zone 6 and above. Part 4, next season, if catfacing or zippering appeared, replace large beefsteak varieties with San Marzano or a compact indeterminate variety and delay. Transplant by 2 weeks past your last frost date to allow night temperatures to fully stabilize. If you are watching this and not yet subscribed, here is what that actually means. YouTube will stop putting this content in your feed, not slow it down, stop. Plant ER Lab releases plant knowledge every single week, built specifically for smart growers who want real results, not generic advice. Hit subscribe now. It is free and it always will be. The final section of this video has 3 things most tomato guides never tell you, and one of them is going to change how you think about fruit set timing permanently. We are not ending here. Before the final word on this topic, here are 3 specific things most tomato guides never put in one place, and all 3 are worth writing down. Overlooked fact 1, the ripening stage is the highest risk window for cracking, not the growing stage. Most growers apply mulch after they see the first crack. By that point, the fruit already in its final 10 to 14 days of ripening has already been exposed to the swing. Mulch goes down at transplant. That is the only timing that gives the root zone consistent moisture protection across the entire season, including the ripening window. Overlooked fact 2, tomato flower drop from heat is self-correcting when temperatures return to the viable window. Many growers see mid-July flower drop in zones 8 and 9 and assume the plant is failing. The plant is not failing. When night temperatures drop back below 75 degrees Fahrenheit in late August and September, which is 24 degrees Celsius, the plant resumes normal blossom set and fruit development begins again. Removing the plant mid-season because of summer drop is one of the most common and most costly timing errors in the American home garden. Overlooked fact: 3 San Marzano tomatoes are significantly more resistant to both catfacing and cracking than most large-fruited beefsteak varieties, not because of flavor or paste quality, but because of fruit wall structure. The paste-type elongated form has a thicker, more elastic skin and a denser, lower moisture flesh that handles moisture swings and cool blossom temperatures far more tolerantly. If you have spent multiple seasons battling cracking in big boy or beefsteak varieties, and you have not yet added San Marzano to your rotation, that is the single highest value variety change available to you right now. If you have never grown tomatoes through a full fruit problem season before, start by correcting watering rhythm and adding mulch. Those 2 changes address cracking and reduce flower drop stress simultaneously with 0 cost and 0 effort beyond what you are already doing. If you have been growing tomatoes for years and you are still losing fruit to problems you could not name until today, add canopy management and shift to a paste-type variety alongside your beefsteak choice. The most valuable plants are rarely the most talked about ones. They are the ones that quietly earn their space every single season. That is exactly what a correctly managed tomato plant does. And that is exactly what this channel is built to help you achieve, one honest, research-grounded video at a time. This channel exists for growers who have spent enough seasons making expensive mistakes they were never warned about. If that is you, and if you are in your 50s or 60s, subscribe right now. Every week, new content, zone-aware, dollar-grounded, built for your actual life. If this video gave you something real today, hit the like button. It helps other growers in your exact situation find this content. Drop your state and your biggest tomato problem in the comments. Your zone completely changes the priority order of these 4 fixes. And think of one person in your life who lost tomatoes this season and never knew why. Send them this video right now. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, research-based plant information that most channels never put in one place. That is what every Plant ER Lab video delivers. Subscribe now and turn on the bell. The next one is already coming.